I cannot say and I cannot remember exactly when I first picked up my first storybook. What I can remember is that sense of awe, that sense of absolute wonder, picking up a story that began with those few words a long, long time ago, far, far away in some distant land. And I was transported to a brand new world that started to tell me of amazing things, amazing journeys that were walked, amazing people that were met, and amazing fantasy elements and fantasy happenings that happened to people as if they were normal things. And every time I would sit back and wonder and wish and worry and think to myself, what are my fairy tales? Will I ever live in a fairy tale? Well, I'm said to have grown up now. And I'm supposed to not believe in fairy tales. But I do. I believe in the happily ever after. I believe in the chaos that absolutely reigns in between. I believe in all those wondrous things that happen to people and to animals. I believe that animals can speak. I believe that the universe and the world is intertwined in a way that we haven't even begun to understand at this point in time. And yet, throughout all that time, I bemoan the fact that our stories were from foreign lands. Very rarely did I get an opportunity to engage with African stories. And then, at the age of about 6 or 7, I was taken to Tanzania by my parents. And there, I started to hear stories in a very different way. When we sat down in front of a fire, my aunt would sit. She was the consummate storyteller. And I remember being able to do the chores and rush through the day simply to hear her say, Hadithi, Hadithi. And we would all sit back as children and respond, Hadithi njo, uongo njo, utamu kolea. And then I knew I was transported to this amazing world where stories were told to me in Swahili. I remember that as the fire embers would die away, the one thing I could always sit back and remember is not just the story. I would remember the songs. I would remember the rhythm and the rhyme and the way that the aunt would tell that story. Growing up, I missed out on that experience. Grew up in the city, grew up in suburbia, so to speak. And the stories that I was exposed to, Hansel and Gretel, you know, the usual stuff. That was not the kind of story that I wanted my children to grow up with. And so, essentially began the journey of Hadithi Media. An opportunity for me to tell my children, their children, and other children on this continent, an African way of telling stories. And everything starts by Hadithi, Hadithi. Welcome, and I hope that as you join us on this Hadithi journey, one day you'll also be able to say, Hadithi njo, uongo njo, utamu kolea. Welcome to Hadithi Media.